We turn now to this. Disturbing new lapel video has sparked an internal investigation at a New Mexico police department.
And it's all over how one officer treated a suspect's body. We do want to warn you that some may find the video graphic. News 13's Catherine Mazzone is in the Newsplex covering the latest. Catherine?
Good morning, Adam. This is video Albuquerque police denied even existed. Let's take a look. It all happened back in March of 2014 when 56-year-old Dale Lucian was caught on surveillance video breaking into cars and a fenced tow yard in the Heights. A police service dog found the man hiding in a trailer. That's when Lucian shot the canine 3 times. SWAT was called in and set off gas rounds and flashbangs in and around the trailer for several hours, but Lucian never moved. An APD SWAT team leader had the team move up. Another officer fired 3 beanbag rounds at Lucian's face. Now, we aren't showing you what happens next because of the graphic nature, but the video shows State Police Officer Richard Matthews stomp on the man. We took the video to New Mexico Police Chief Pete Casetas, who hadn't seen it yet. He says by the time you see the officer stomp on Lucian, Lucian wasn't a threat. Casetas says he doesn't like what he sees.
I don't recall in my 23 years teaching tactics that were used by my state police officer to ensure that someone wasn't a threat that way.
Now, state police are now launching an investigation into the officer's actions. Back to you.
Catherine, thank you. APD has not released its investigation, saying the case is still waiting to be reviewed by a homicide sergeant. News 13 discovered other questions about the case, and you can read that full story on the KRQE News app now.
And News 13 is staying on top of the latest on a key vote in the Albuquerque City Council. We've learned the council voted to move forward with hiring federal monitor James Ginger. It's costing $4.5 million to bring him in to oversee APD's agreement with the Department of Justice. The city of Albuquerque and the DOJ agreed to a contract for the monitor's office in an effort to overhaul APD. This follows a Department of Justice report that blasted APD's use of force.
At their next meeting, the city council is also expected to make a final vote on whether to give voters the chance to let the council have a say in hiring and firing police and fire chiefs. The question was supposed to go on the ballot last year, but that ballot was too full, and now the push is back on for this October. Mayor R.J. Berry tells News 13 he thinks the proposal won't work.
I think in the long run, that's probably not something that helps create the environment that we want for accountability in public safety.
The council would need 6 votes to avoid a veto from the mayor, and there are 5 Democrats on the council. Councilor Ken Sanchez says he's confident they can get a 6th vote. You can weigh in on the issue right now on the KRQE News 13 Facebook page.
New details. Longtime city councilor Ray Garduno is retiring after 8 years of service. He made the announcement yesterday. Democrat Garduno represents a district which includes much of the Southeast Heights, UNM's main campus, and Nob Hill. Garduno says he will step down at the end of his term to spend more time with his family. He's backing Democratic activist Pat Davis to replace him. We turn now to this. In one word, describe Albuquerque. That's the question a new city-funded survey asked non-New Mexicans. The top 5 results were hot, desert, Southwest. Not too bad, right? Then there was boring and dry. That's not so positive. But there was a lot of good news in other parts of that survey. A vast majority of outsiders see the city as safe, affordable, and a good place to raise a family. So what did some locals think about that?
Really? Wow.
What do you think about that?
That surprises me.
I'm actually kind of surprised by these numbers. These are actually pretty positive.
Pleasantly surprised, right? So the study cost $20,000. Because of the results, Mayor Berry is asking City Council for $1 million to sell the city to entrepreneurs and young adults.
I'm now 6:36. Could soon be easier to find a parking spot downtown, but a new plan to make that happen may come at a cost. Geltmore, the developer behind the anticipated downtown grocery store, wants to create a parking district. Prices for the spaces in the area would change depending on demand. A smartphone app would allow drivers to quickly see what's available and where.
When there's pricing at the street level, in front of a retailer that should be the most expensive space that's priced the same as, a space at the top level of a structure, 7 blocks away, that doesn't really make sense.
He says some of the revenue can then be invested back into the downtown area to improve parking.
We turn now to news out of Washington, D.C. this morning. Lawmakers are expected to look for ways to build trust between police and the communities that they serve today. This after a number of high-profile police shootings across the nation. President Obama already issuing an executive order to limit military-style equipment for police.
We've seen how militarized gear can sometimes give people a feeling like there's an occupying force as opposed to a force that's part of the community that's protecting them and serving them.
So law enforcement agencies requesting gear will now have to announce their request publicly. They'll also have to explain how it will train its officers to use the military-style equipment. The Senate is also expected to talk about police body cameras and how technology can protect police and the public.
Just into our newsroom this morning, one of the conductors aboard that deadly train crash in Philadelphia is suing the railway. He filed suit yesterday. Also new this morning, investigators say a grapefruit-sized crack on the left side of the train's windshield. A lot of people have been talking about that. It was most likely, they say, not caused by a gunshot. Agents had been looking into the possibility after 2 other train operators reported having something thrown at them in the same area that crash happened. The crash killed 8 people and injured more than 200 others.